Yo guys, we are doing the 25 days of Christmas. I currently have 5 gift cards. For some reason, I went to Target and they told me that I can't get more than like a specific dollar amount, which is dumb. Is there like a way to scam stuff like this? I'm not sure, but anyway. Yeah, so we are doing the 25 days of Christmas. So every single time I upload a video, I will make sure to include it in the corners around here. You just guys have to pay attention to where it's going to be located. I'll edit the code in somewhere one of these things. I'll make it bright so that way you guys can be a little bit easier to see. So whoever sees it first, I mean, that's up to you and the watch time on when you're watching the video. So the first video that we're going to do for today I'm doing a lot of things. If you guys ever watch like Talladega Nights where like Will Ferrell, he's doing the interview and he doesn't know where to move his hands. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where I'm at right now. But the main topic, Jesus Christ, I'm like doing it more now that I'm noticing it. The main thing I want to talk about today is going to be the Game Awards. I'm trying to make them short. I'm not trying to make them too long, and it's kind of a little bit annoying because I also, not to rant or yap too much, but when it comes to the editing, if I'm going to be doing a video a day for 25 days, I want to try to make it not as like crazy editing session for me as much as I can. So bear with me. It's going to be yap sessions mostly, and if I can throw in, and I had time for games, I'll throw in games because I bought a bunch of new games. Speaking of games, this is going to be a perfect segue into the Game of the Year awards. Basically, that's happening, and my main gripe with it, everyone knows that I want Wukong to win. I mean, that should be like a given. I did a dedicated video on Wukong. I love that game. I played it multiple times. I have countless hours on it on the PS5 that I actually never touch anymore, and then I also have countless hours into, oh yeah, by the way, sorry, let's move this here. Still 500 subs, right? We're getting close to 500 subs. Subscribe if you want to win. TikTok, Instagram, follow down in the description below. Everyone should know this by now because I'm trying to make it as clear as possible, including with the shorts. Anyway, I want Game of the Year to be going to Wukong. That is who I think should win. Rightfully so, based on the game, based on the artistic, based on this story, based on, not to mention the player base, and non-woke, non-DEI, ESG, all this other stuff that games now in the West are starting to do, which is funny. Another segue into the US, besides like Space Marine, I think is just going downhill when it comes to video games. It feels like, and funny enough, also, Jesus Christ, there's too many segues. This goes into Sony's acquisition from Software, because it comes out to Sony Japan and Sony America. When it comes to Sony America, you got like Uncharted and a bunch of other stuff like that with like Naughty Dog, and they built themselves such a big rep that they've got them so high that now they're pushing into this new idea of woke culture shit, and Sony Japan hates it, and Japan really wants to like figure something out, and I think that's where the acquisition for From Software is going to come about. Also because From Software wanted to make sure that they got bought out instead of I think they're getting bear hugged by a different Korean studio. I don't know what it is, but I forget what it is. It's like Kaka or something like that. I don't know. Apparently they're worse than Sony, so they are doing the lesser of two evils, and they decided want to go with Sony. I also have my own hesitation when it comes to Sony, especially when it comes to just this, scary ass shit that they're doing with Steam and the PSN logins with Helldivers, how they like pretty much tanked that, which sucks. And Helldivers also should have been another Game of the Year contender. But into all fairness, I want to keep this as short as possible. I'm trying to aim for like 10 minutes or so. Who do I think should not be on Game of the Year? DLCs should not be on Game of the Year. That should be its own category. Make another category, do all you want to do. And I'm not the only one that's talking about this. I'm also not the only one I'm probably like the last one to talk about this, especially when it comes to how many people already digged on this topic. But when it comes to DLC, I don't know why they decided to rewrite the rules just to include Erdtree. I loved Erdtree. I loved Elden Ring, but the main problem with it is, and what people for some reason aren't understanding, and the way people talk about it too is like the whole get good method of like how From Software games are being played and stuff like that. It's like, oh, just get good. Having that same mentality when it comes to DLC and then changing the rules is just idiotic to me, because when it comes to DLC alone and expansions, why wasn't it done previous, right? So like when Game of the Year awards were first starting on, you should have had it included already in the tournament, like not in the tournament, in the rules and guidelines of Game of the Year and what it could do. Because if not, then that means other DLC DLCs previously that could have gotten Game of the Year just didn't have an opportunity to Game of the Year, right? They just didn't have any, like for instance, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Why was that not included? Why was rules weren't changed for that? There's multiple different other DLCs. Monster Hunter. I'm playing the shit out of Monster Hunter. Why wasn't Iceborne changed to include DLC, right? So when it comes to these things, it's really like, why are we doing this? And is this going to cause more leeway to change other things for the Game of the Year rules, right? Is there going to be ways to where they're going to implement something else? Oh, we changed the rules for DLC. Now we're going to change the rules for this, and we're going to change the rules for this. Why not just keep everything simple as possible? Why not just like, hey, Game of the Year, it's a game, base game, only game, story-driven game, whatever game you want to put in, but it's a game. It's the, say, 60-hour game. It's a $60 game, right? Everyone knows what a game is. Why don't we just stick to that and then just include DLC for a different category? Because what it also did is it really ruined, if this continues, if the DLC wins Game of the Year, I think it's going to set a bad precedent for when it comes to Game of the Year, when it comes to people's idea of Game of the Year. I think it'll be lackluster and people just won't care about it. Just basically the same way how people aren't caring about game journalism, right? Because game journalism is basically like all mainstream media right now, where everyone's paying attention to it as a joke, not so much as to taking it seriously. When it comes to journalism and, I'm going to review this game, even though it's shit, Dragon Age Veilguard, even though it's shit, I'm going to review it high based on my biases that I already have. And because if I don't promote it, then I won't get next year or whatever from that specific studio. I won't get an early access copy. I won't be able to review it. I won't be able to push out my agenda as quickly as everybody else will. So that's why I think it's going to set a bad precedent if the DLC wins. I love the game, but just create a different category. There's no reason to put it in, honestly. Asmongold was talking about this. Just put it in, get rid of VR and put in the DLC as its own category, because me personally, I don't play VR. I don't know too many people that play VR. I remember when VR first came to be, like it was gonna be like hot shit. Everyone was talking about it, and like the prices were astronomical for a VR headset. It was like $600-700, and now it's like anyone can get one, and no one really like plays it. I mean, like I guess what in the gaming world, maybe like 10% out of all like video games is VR, unless I'm just idiotic and I don't pay attention to this and I'm clearly just like clueless. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that VR is in any way, shape, or form going to be a breakthrough the way that they thought originally was going to be, right? So, Game of the Year, Wukong, put it on Wukong. If it doesn't go to Wukong, if it goes to the DLC, that's fucked up, because honestly, it could have been taken. There could have been another game, Space Marine, Helldivers come to mind, when it took up spots that shouldn't have. There's also a card game. I don't even mind the card game being on there, because, I mean, card games are addicting as shit. Not only are they addicting as shit, you got gambling, and people play the shit out of all these gambling games. So I can see it being addicting, and especially if people are like really early 90s, any movie, I want to say early 90s, early 2000s, any movie that had like a computer, they're playing solitaire on there. Like if you just pay attention to like most movies that showed like a computer in the early times, 90s and early 2000s, solitaire was on there, and like you just saw them. Like imagine it be like a cop movie, and you could tell the cop in the front desk isn't doing shit. It pans over, you see the computer, solitaire. I could see it being a card game, being Game of the Year, but I mean, if it gets enough people liking it, right? If enough people vote for it, then yeah, it's going to be Game of the Year. DLC? No. It's additional content. You first have to buy the game. You first have to put in 60-70 hours into the game and then figure out. You have to beat one of the hardest bosses in Elden Ring, which I think the completion rate, when I got the trophy for it, 37% of all players in Steam completed it. So you have a game that is predetermined to... Elden Ring in general is just hard as shit, to where people are like, okay, the trophy amount, if you just look at the trophy amount, people completing the game, most people don't even do those bosses. So to include that as a DLC where only 37% of the people who actually beat that boss can then go into DLC, it's insane to me. What are you doing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Stop doing this. This doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we hit 10 minutes. I'm just going to push this out there. 25 days of Christmas. The code will be in here. That's the only thing I'm going to edit with this. Thanks for listening to my Yap session. Thanks for listening to the Yap session. Don't forget 500 subs. That will be in there. Anyone who says that this is a scam, please don't go full retard. Please do not go full retard. I have a business. I can afford this shit. I don't know if you can tell by the room, and I don't know if you can tell by the PC, but I'm not hurting here. This is just a reward for you guys. Next year, once this channel blows up, as I'm gonna put my work into, and with the support of you guys, it's gonna blow up. These cards will be way more than the $25. All right, I just can. Why can't you buy more? Why is there a dollar limit to it? Like, what's going on? I don't know, thievery or something. I don't know. But yeah, once this channel grows, it's going to promote you guys as well. I like giving stuff. I mean, that's probably one of the main reasons why I also teach for free when it comes to my barbershop. And I let apprentices come in instead of charging them the 9-month base rate of what schools usually charge, which is $20,000. Yeah, it's a lot of money to cut hair. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm doing these things. I'm doing this thing again with my hands. I'm sorry. I'll stop.